So we're finally getting to talk about one of my favorite tools in ProPresenter, and that's the Reflow editor. You can see on this toolbar here, this is our slide editor toolbar, let's call it. So we have edit, we have Reflow, we have Bible, and we have a whole bunch of other options that we really don't need to worry about. Edit and Reflow are the main ones that we use. So I have this slide up right now. It's the most recent one I clicked on. Whenever I click on edit, it's going to bring up this editor. This editor has a lot of options in it. There's a lot of stuff you can do. You'll almost never use this though. This is what we use to create the themes, but once the themes are created, there's really not much of a need to go back in here and change it because we need it to be consistent. So we can't be changing the theme slide by slide. So to get back to show, you'll notice there's no X button. We actually have to go back and click on show right here. Now, the more useful editor, the one that I really like using, is this Reflow editor right here. This is great because it gives you an overview of all the slides at one time and lets you edit them all too, right in the same place. This is most useful whenever we want to put in line breaks or slide breaks. So here, for example, this one line is too wide for the screen right now. You can see in this preview right here, we're only getting about 2/3 of the line. We're missing these two words, don't deserve, are getting pushed onto their own line like this. We don't ever want to let the computer decide where the line break is. We always want to decide. So even if I decide I want the line break to be exactly where the computer decided, I should put that in there. That way, whenever we update the template or the theme, it's not going to be changing where the line break is. The line break will always stay where it is. So in this case, that's actually a really bad spot to put it. A better spot would be right here. So there's a couple things you want to take into consideration whenever you're making these kind of decisions. The first is, how does it look visually? This is not the best decision visually because it's kind of creating an hourglass shape. We want to avoid the hourglass shapes as much as possible. But this might still be a good decision because it's following the flow of the songs. There's kind of a pause or a natural break between this first line here and the second line. The more we can make our line breaks on those natural breaks in the songs, the better the lyrics are going to flow, the more natural they're going to look. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for here too. So there's kind of, if you're familiar with this song, that's kind of its own idea, that's kind of its own idea, that's kind of its own idea, even though they're all related ideas. There's a little bit of a break in the melody itself between those lines. This one right here, pre-chorus, there's a very significant pause right there and right there. So another thing that we're going to run into is whenever we're making these many line breaks, we're going to end up with too much text on one slide. The solution is to make more slides. So how we do that is we click on where we want the slide break to be, and then we go down to the bottom right here where it says Insert Slide Break, press that, and it splits it up for us. So I'm actually going to want to do that for right here too, and right here. Since Grace on Top of Grace is the name of the song, I like to emphasize that a little bit more by having it on its own slide. If there's something that is really meaningful or the main point of the song, it can be helpful to actually have it on its own slide, even if it's only one word. So again, if you're familiar with this song, you'll see this is probably going to be our best option. It flows well with the music. It looks good visually. It's not so much text on the screen at one time that if you just look up at the screen, you're going to be lost in this wall of text. 2 lines really is the optimal amount. 3 lines is okay. 4 lines is iffy, and anything more than that is just not even an option. If you have, if your canvas has the up-to-date lyric theme, it's not actually going to even let you put more than 4 lines on at once. It will cut off the 5th and 6th. Any line that comes beyond that is going to get cut off and you won't even be able to see it at all. And that's by design. That's how we want it. Try and keep the text more minimal. You don't want it to be so short that there's not even a whole message, a whole idea on the screen at one time. But the more you can break it up, generally the better, as long as you're keeping those ideas together. So this is a good example so far, but we're going to keep going through. This slide right here is going to be tricky because there's this part right here, this second line, doesn't fit on all at one time. So we have a couple options. We could do that and then put that on its own slide, and we can do grace on top of grace again. That might be a good option. That's going to go a little bit faster. So this slide right here, slide 8, first slide of course 1, is going to be up for longer than slide 9. But that's okay if that's what we have to do. The slides don't have to have consistent pacing, meaning one slide can be up for longer, one slide doesn't have to be up for as long. That really doesn't matter. It's actually, at times, a good thing to have. So we're going to keep going. Verse 1, notice how this is already formatted correctly. Because we did it up here, it's already correct here. Same with chorus. Now the bridge, we're going to have to do. And this is actually going to be a pretty easy one. We'll do a line break right there, and a line break right there, and a slide break right there. And there we go. Bridge is done because it's repeating 3 times. It just applied our edits to all of those slides, and we're good. So the last one is just the ending. And again, we'll want to keep this consistent. We don't want a line break here because if you recall, we have the same exact slide up here. Even though it's in a different group, it's the same slide. People in the congregation aren't actually going to be able to tell the difference, even though we can see the difference back here. So we want those to be exactly the same. So we did with your break, grace on top of grace there. So we're going to do the same thing here, and we're going to put those on different slides, and we're going to do the same thing here again. So that's it as far as formatting this song. These lyrics, we'll go back to show so we can see it better. This is pretty much a perfect formatting. Some songs are really tricky to get right. Fortunately, this one's easy. And this is, I think, the best that we're going to be able to get it.